Okay, let's go overseas now. The US has introduced a bill which would ban Chinese-owned social media platform TikTok. Caroline, I'll go back to you again. This is sending a huge message to China, and I suspect they won't take it well. But the question is, should we do the same?
No, they won't take it well. They'll take this as some kind of affront. But look, we know that this is a surveillance app. We know that there is a connection between the company that owns this and the Chinese government. I think it's a pretty sensible move by America. And look, I don't know that the precise national security implications for Australia, but I think it's definitely something that Australia should at least look at and consider and make a judgment call on, because you know, we do not know the types of information and data and whatever that could potentially be going to the Chinese government, and how damaging that could potentially be for the national security of Australia.
Yeah, quite right, and the brains of our youth, of course. Sophie, Jacinta Price has copped a lot of flack for opposition to The Voice. Now, apparently, there's a website dedicated to trying to silence her. I mean, this smacks of hypocrisy of the left, but can you get any more hypocritical than this for the proud and tolerant and the open and diversity cult?
Well, not really, Cory, but look, I mean, they can set up these websites and do as they please, but shouldn't we be entitled to share our opinions in this country, regardless of whether you agree with them or not? Unfortunately for Senator Price, she seems to be a lightning rod for the left, who go her at any opportunity. And she obviously has been very vocal on her views on The Voice. She's really standing up for what she believes in. She has a lot of support. But we will continue to see this with this debate, and it's unsurprising that something like this has happened. But I think, you know, she should keep doing what she's doing and fight for the cause she believes in, as should everyone in a country where we should have free speech.
Hear, hear. I agree with that 100%. All right, Caroline, New Zealand has introduced a new law to try and phase out smoking. It's effectively banned anyone born after 2009 from ever being allowed to buy cigarettes. People are saying Australia should follow suit. Where do you sit in the no cigarettes for you camp?
I think this is just the nanny state going a little bit too far. Look, I don't smoke. I don't even really drink, Cory, so I must be just like the biggest wowser going around. But look, I think once people get to 18 years old, they should be able to make that judgment call for themselves, whether they want to smoke or they don't want to smoke. And, you know, the people who are proponents of getting rid of cigarettes are, ironically, proponents of legalising marijuana. So I'm not sure how you can be a proponent of one and not the other. But I think as far as cigarettes are concerned, people can make their own decisions. We've got to stop putting baby safety latches on every single thing in life, because once it's cigarettes and then it's sugar and then you're not allowed to do this and no one's allowed to have fun, and you know, like, where do you stop?
Yeah, well, if we leave it to these zealots, it could go anywhere. We won't be having any more fun. There'll be no more vices, and I'd have nothing to laugh at every single week. All right, Sophie, how about this next story? US rapper Azalea Banks, I got to say, I'd never heard of her before this, has vowed to never return to Australia again. She cancelled a bunch of shows this past week before launching a rampage where she labelled us racist and said that being here made her miserable. Apparently, it's not the first time. Back in 2015, when she last toured, she called Australians violent and belligerent. Apparently, it's all because some people threw things at her while she was on stage once. Is she just a terrible performer and we don't want to hear? Or should we be reassessing our own behaviour, Sophie?
Well, if anyone's ever heard of her, that's quite amazing in the first place. But if you look at her track record, she has a history of going to countries around the world and calling people racists. If Australia is such a shocking place, I don't know why on earth she'd bother coming back here again. She came here previously before, as you said, Cory, and said we're all a bunch of awful people. So she's got a history of doing that. She's been in Ireland and made comments about behaviour there. She's also said some atrocious things about the Swedish, which I won't repeat on air. But I just say, well, if that's your view of us, don't bother coming back here. And I completely disagree with her. And where is the evidence? She just seems to make these statements. Has she gone to police? Has she made formal complaints? She just seems to be mouthing off and trying to draw attention to herself. So I don't think it'll be any loss if she doesn't return to Australia, Cory.
I'm just delighted I'm not the only person who hasn't heard of her. And picking on the Irish and the Aussies is one thing, but the Swedish, what have they done to anyone except give us Volvos? Come on. Now have a look at this bizarre video Donald Trump posted to the Truth Social followers today. Have a look.
America needs a superhero.
Caroline, I think Australia needs a lot more than a single superhero, but are there any guesses as to what this announcement may be, prompted by this bizarre video?
I have absolutely no idea, and I'm still recovering from the cringe of actually having to watch that. And look, I know that Australia, we have this tendency of picking up things from the US, but can we please not pick up this like high gloss, superficial BS political, it's garbage, Cory. It's absolute garbage. If you got an announcement, just put out a statement. Like this just cheapens the importance of politics in the lives of, in this case, everyday Americans.
Oh, Caroline, it's too late, unfortunately. The superficial, the veneer, the gloss, the stunts, it's already here, unfortunately. You just have to go to TikTok MPs or whatever they have on Twitter, and you'll see the fools making even bigger fools of themselves. All right, speaking of that, Sophie, apparently Joe Biden has been overheard saying he's fed up with everyone talking about his age. Now, I don't even know how old he is, 80, but shouldn't that be a rational discussion point?
Well, I think it is when you're running the US and you're 80 years old. But look, I don't have a problem with his age. I have a problem with his mind. And he seems to be losing his mind. He's often seen in videos dithering. He doesn't seem to know people's names. He's forgetful. He has falls. I worry that he doesn't have all his faculties. I'm not concerned about his age. I'm concerned about his mind and his capability to run America. It should have nothing to do with his age. There's some very sharp minds well past the 80-year mark. So, but I think he's obviously very sensitive about it because he's made remarks about it. But I think it is something that we should be paying attention to because of some of the behaviour that he does, we see, which is problematic, Cory.
Yeah, exactly right. And the older I get, the more I realise age is but a number, and you're quite right about the cognitive ability is what we should be focused on. Thank you, Sophie Ellsworth, Caroline de Russo. Really love your work and for joining me on Credlin tonight.